Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So today we'll be talking about a new TCG exclusive archetype that got revealed by Konami themselves for Supreme Darkness. Supreme Darkness is the main booster set that is about to arrive in 2025. And as opposed to other TCG exclusive archetypes that we have in the past, I think for the first time in a very long time, we're about to receive a Tier 1 archetype. So some people are probably not familiar with these cards, they don't know what these cards do. So I am going to talk about them very briefly, and I am going to talk about possibilities that you can do with this deck, the win condition, and why is this archetype already playable from the get-go. So Mitsurugi is a reptile-based ritual archetype that composes of 2 main deck monsters, 2 ritual monsters, 2 spells, and 1 trap. The gimmick behind all these cards revolve around tributing reptiles. Kusanagi, upon normal summon or being tributed, as well as Saji, both have an effect. Kusanagi grabs a Mitsurugi from your graveyard back to your hand. Saji grabs a Mitsurugi spell from your deck and adds it to your hand. Futsu no Mitama, upon summon, if your opponent summons, can special summon a monster or any reptile. Ameno Paramo, upon ritual summon, or upon special summon rather, can Raigeki your opponent's board. And both Futsu and Ameno Kurakamo can, upon being tributed, add any Mitsurugi card. Mitsurugi Prayers is basically a reinforcement of the army. It adds a Mitsurugi monster. However, it also has the effect to reborn a Mitsurugi or a special summon a Mitsurugi from your hand. And if you tribute a reptile, you can do both effects at the same time. Very similar to how Rika spells and Rika traps work when you tribute a plant monster. Mitsurugi Ritual can ritual summon from the deck. I'm not joking. This is pretty much one of the first cards that do this outside of one of the advanced ritual arts. I forgot the name, the one that involves normal monsters. But it also has the gimmick that you can tribute using monsters from your deck to ritual summon from your hand. This is a very unique spin to ritual spells that we have not seen. And then we have the trap card, which is great purification. If your opponent activates any card or effect, and you can tribute a level 5 or higher reptile monster, ideally will be these 2, and negate and destroy. But the graveyard effect is you can banish this card, then special summon a reptile in your graveyard, special summon it, and then tribute another monster you control. Tributing a resolution of this card at first looks like it's not an ideal setup for this card. However, it does trigger all of these effects. Now that we talked about the archetype as a whole, let's talk about what is your win condition. Your win condition with this deck is pretty much to end on both Mitama and Murakamo and have a setup with these 2 alongside the trap card. If you do that, you have the ability to special any reptile, the ability to blow up your opponent's board, the ability to negate any card. Also, I forgot to mention, Murakamo has the effect where if your opponent tries to activate an effect, you can make them discard 1 card. So this pretty much just dwindles your opponent's resources very, very quickly. In Mitsurugi's case, This card just pressures your opponent into resummoning back all your monsters. And take note, whatever you're bringing back with Mitsurugi does get their effect. This gets the effect to add, this gets the effect to recover, this gets the effect to blow up. And if these cards are tributed, these come back. And not only do they come back, they add you an extra card. So that is a very, very big deal because it means it works with cards like Epidemic Virus, it works with cards like Eradicator or Devastation Virus rather. If you get Nibiru, these cards can also come back. So that's another really big deal. Other cards like, for example, Enemy Controller also works with that card. Deception of the Sinful Spoils also works with the entire archetype. So you can play the Azamina engine if you wish, because the for some reason this is tribute and not send. The Drive-Through monsters also work with the archetype because you can just tribute their rituals to add, and whatever you're missing, you can just recover and add, and then you can just perform your entire ritual summon rotation with them. I'll showcase you combos involving that a little bit later. Cards like Trial and Tribulation are actually really powerful in this deck because since you're tributing so much, this card can function either as a recovery card or as a board breaking card. You're probably wondering why are the Raizio cards in here and why are the Fiendsmith cards in here as well. This engine is so minimalistic and so splashable that you can fit in other archetypes for them. Not only that, but they actually have incredible synergy with all those archetypes. And the most important part about all of this is these cards work with not just themselves as an archetype, but with any reptiles. That means Ogdoadix, that means Ragnaraka, that means Reptilian, that means Evil Dragon Ananta. The Night Sword Serpent becomes an extender for this archetype, and it's level 4. So, being level 4 means you can summon King of the Feral Imps. And King of the Feral Imps can add any reptile. You can also play other cards, like for example, Melusine. And Melusine, this card is really good against Raizio. Like, your opponent's Raizio cards have a hard time dealing with this card. Because Detonator cannot pop this. They cannot run over this by battle either if you're using just reptiles as materials. And if this card like leaves the field because of your opponent, you can just add any of their Mitsurugis. Also, it's a level 8 dark reptile, so it synergizes with Purification, it synergizes with Mitsurugi, it synergizes with Prayers and the Ritual spell. So there are a lot of avenues you can take with this archetype. There's a lot of reptile support spells and traps that also work well with them. I think Konami was kind of smart when they made this card to destroy your reptile, because if this card would have worked by tributing a reptile, this card would have been nuts with this new archetype. You also have cards like Snake Rain, remember this card? You also have Automatic Daybreak, aka Scapegoat 2.0. You have Water Lily, you have Reptilian spells as well. You have the Alien package, for those who don't know about the Planet Pollutant Virus combo with this card. With the Slicer Z-Roll. Slicer Z-Roll it becomes a walking floodgate for monsters with A counters. And the Planet Pollutant Virus gives A counters to whatever your opponent summons, and it does not start a chain. So, yeah. This archetype is very, very, very flexible on what it can do. Now what I'm gonna do is just show you case two ways of you getting your engine started with this archetype. One is with the Drytrons, like you're grabbing that with the effect of the other Mitsurugi, you're grabbing the ritual, and now you're going to ritual summon by sending these two from the deck. You get to summon your Murakumo, and now both Kusanagi and Saji get to activate. So Saji gets to add you a card, and the Kusanagi can grab at either Maitama or Saji. So you can grab at the ritual, you can grab prayers, you can grab purification. Take note, you cannot use prayers effect to bring back a reptile from the graveyard because you used your Drytrons. But however, you end up Great Purification as part of your inboard, and Great Purification plus Meno Murakamo is a really strong combo. Like, your opponent loses a lot of resources just trying to play through these two cards. Now, let's showcase you the best way to play this archetype. The best way is kind of a stretch. There are a lot of possible ways to play it. The most popular version I've been seeing so far is with Fiendsmith. But this is a combo with just Raziel cards. So yeah, watch this. X Raziel for Sword Raziel adds you Ice Raziel. Now you're going to summon the King of the Feral Imps, and you have not normal summoned yet, so King of the Feral Imps is going to add you Saji. You're going to use Saji effect. Saji is going to grab us the Mitsurugi Ritual. Now check this out. We're going to debut another card from Supreme Darkness, another really dangerous card. And that dangerous card is Twins of the Eclipse. For those who don't know what this card is, Twins of the Eclipse is an XYZ monster, and yes, you did see that correctly. You can use rank 4s as part of your XYZ summon for this monster. So you can detach your material, this card can attack twice. If this card is sent to the graveyard, this is a very important part of its effect. You can target one other rank 4 or lower XYZ in your graveyard, special summon one of the two, and if you do, attach the other one to it. So you need two XYZ in your graveyard. You already have one with the detonator you sent with X Raziel. Check this out. So now you're going to special Ice Raziel by sending Twin of the Eclipse. Twin of the Eclipse is going to trigger, and you're going to re-summon back King of the Feral Imps. King of the Feral Imps is once per turn to add a reptile, but it's not a hard once per turn. And that is a very big deal. Because now you're going to detach and you're going to add Mitsurugi. And now what we're going to do is we're going to activate the ritual spell, we're going to summon the Mitsurugi, and we're going to send Sniper Serpent and Kusanagi. We already used Saji already, so we're not going to send Saji this time. But Kusanagi is going to make it so you can grab back the ritual spell, and the Night Serpent is going to special summon itself because it did get sent to the graveyard by a card effect. So you resummon, you grab back, and Mitsurugi Ritual is not once per turn. You can only use each effect each turn. We already used that effect to ritual summon a reptile from our hand. This is the effect that we already used. Now we're going to ritual summon for our reptile in our deck. And the monster we're going to use is going to be the Murakamo. So Murakamo is going to be triggered. You're going to summon Futsu. And now, check this out. Now Murakamo gets to activate because it was tributed. It gets to resummon, and it gets to add any Mitsurugi card. So you can add Prayers or Great Purification. And this is pretty much our end board. You can still do more other things like rank 4s, like you can summon Dual Drive, you can summon Dweller, you can summon Baguska if you want. So that will add us the plugin and X Raziel. And yeah, you can just end on this board. And the really cool part about this board and this combo is that, let's say for example your opponent activates Nibiru, you can use Futsu effect, Futsu resummon itself. Futsu has 3400 defense. You can set the Great Purification, or if you added prayers, you can use prayers to summon Mitsurugi, Murakumo, and Murakumo can just blow up the Nibiru. And now your opponent has to deal with both Murakumo and Futsu, Mitama. And if Great Purification is already part of your setup, your opponent is going to be very, very dwindled on resources. So yeah. This archetype is really, really cool. I think Konami did a really good job with the design behind these cards. I am a very firm, strong believer that this is going to be tier 1. If it's not tier 1, at least tier 1.5. This archetype is incredible. I've been seeing a lot of duels with a lot of people testing this, and it's to the point where even like the bigger pro players, like for example Dire Match, are just finding duels in custom just to deal with this, just to play against this archetype. So yeah, I hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. This is probably going to be my last video of 2024. I think this is going to be a very good preview of what's to come in 2025. Keep practicing and keep doing.